Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Meckles. Across the Denver metro and the foothills this weekend, people are still cleaning up after last night's heavy windstorm that knocked out power to more than 100,000 Xcel customers overnight. With winds reaching peak gusts of 96 miles an hour in some areas, there were so many fallen trees knocking into power lines, landing on people's property. Evergreen Fire Rescue had more than 25 calls for electrical hazards thanks to those falling trees, like this one that briefly caught on fire. It was worse for one home in Edgewater where a fallen tree pulled down an electric line and sparked a fire, damaging the backside of this home's both exterior and its inside. This is actually the home of our own 9 News anchor Jordan Chavez. He is fine. Luckily, nobody was home at the time. Here in Denver, plenty of trash and debris blowing around today, so the Denver Rescue Mission and Colorado Rockies employees teamed up to bag up all the trash that was left over from the Rockies home opener on Friday. Those heavy winds impacted schools as well. Boulder Valley School District says power's still not on at 6 schools, so they're going to check in the morning and make a call about whether or not they have school. All other schools will be open tomorrow in that district. And Jeffco says 17 schools and building locations will be closed tomorrow because they still have power outages. Homeowners were out picking up fallen tree limbs and debris in their yard today. In Lakewood, Miles Reynolds spent his day cleaning up the neighborhood after up to 90-mile-per-hour winds swept through the foothills. He teamed up with several neighbors to tidy things up and help out, and they returned the favor, clearing a pine tree out of his front yard.
Initially, when I left the driveway, I was looking over here and I saw a branch down and I thought, oh, that's no big deal. And then I looked over here and said, well, that's a big deal. That's where we're at.
Luckily, not too much damage in his yard. He did lose a water well that was destroyed today, but says it hasn't worked anyway in about a decade, so all is well. We are down now, Lauren, from windy to more of breezy tonight, and I'm not sure how much longer it's going to stick around, but we're moving into next week as well, some better weather.
That's right. We saw very windy conditions throughout the weekend. Now I'd say more breezy as we head through the rest of the evening. Tomorrow will be pretty calm. But as far as those winds were concerned this weekend, we saw winds gusting up to 95 miles per hour up in Marshall. Buckeye, just north of Fort Collins, saw 91-mile-per-hour wind gusts. 86-mile-per-hour wind gusts were reported in Georgetown. Just under 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts were reported in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and out in Boulder. Boy, was it an extremely windy weekend, and we saw that from all of the evidence, downed trees, power lines, etc. But as you take a look at our wind gusts across the state, Denver right now coming in at around 40 miles per hour, but we will continue to calm down as we go throughout the evening. We're also seeing breezy conditions kind of linger across the foothills. But as we take a look at our HD Doppler radar, that system that brought these extremely gusty winds is moving its way eastward. So as we take a look over Colorado, we're pretty clear, especially across the eastern half of the state. We do have some light flurries across portions of the high country and into the western slope. Those will continue to fizzle out over the next few hours. So we're going to watch for more calming overnight. We're also going to see some midweek warming leading up to temperatures in the upper 70s by the time we're hitting next weekend. I'll have all of those details for you just ahead in my full 7-day forecast.
Lauren, thank you. Xcel Energy shut off power to tens of thousands of people this weekend before that wind ever started blowing. A preventative measure the company hoped would prevent fallen lines from sparking and causing a fire. Today, the company is talking about what worked with this strategy and what needs improvements. 9 News reporter Brianna Clark spoke to some homeowners, and Brianna, they had plenty of feedback themselves to offer Xcel.
Oh yes, plenty of feedback, and Xcel is taking accountability for their lack of communication during this pre-planned power outage. A lot of people were upset that Xcel didn't provide a specific map showing those areas where the power was going to be out ahead of time. And Xcel says they are working to fix that for next time. The peacefulness of the foothills, replaced by the constant hum of generators. The sound is a result of Xcel Energy's planned power outage, leaving this Littleton neighborhood in the dark for more than a day.
So the freezer's down here.
What it looks like inside
I have not opened it.
remains a mystery to Dustin Thompson.
That everything's thawing already.
He's already lost the food in his fridge.
We've got our eggs and our milk.
And then there's the frustration with Xcel's communication.
It was like 2 to 3 hours notice that they were cutting our power and it was going to be off for 21 hours, I think that
Dustin went more than 24 hours without power this weekend.
And the only other communication they have given me was today when they said they are doing their best to get it back on and that they don't know when it's going to be back on.
Those 90-mile-hour winds? with this.
Dustin isn't alone in his feelings. This woman was also waiting on her power to come back on Sunday afternoon. She walked up demanding answers from an Xcel Energy spokesperson right before our interview.
I can't get through. I have no contact, no information.
We're asking for a little bit of grace, and we are going to get better at being able to do this.
Xcel Energy says shutting down power could become the new normal during strong wind events.
I believe we made absolutely the right decision. We have damage on our electric lines that is due to wind. If those lines were energized, that was a risk of a wildfire.
And if we're going to start doing that for electricity, we might as well just stop doing anything. It's making us stop living our lives like we should.
Dustin prefers his peace. Instead, he might be shopping for a generator.
If it comes down to it that they're going to keep doing this, I'm going to have to go spend more money out of pocket to have a generator system put on my house so I don't lose my food.
Some good news. Moments after we wrapped up our interview with Dustin, the power came back on. He told me he opened the freezer, checked it, and everything is okay because he kept it closed this whole time. All right, so we have a few updates for you from Xcel. Xcel reports that 63,000 customers got their power back today, but more than 87,000 are still without it. And that includes the preemptive shutoff and weather-related outages. They say restoring power could take until tomorrow or even longer for some people. Reporting live, Brianna Clark, 9 News.
Brianna, this is a really interesting experiment from Xcel. The first time ever in Colorado they have done this preemptive shutoff of power. So we're learning a lot this weekend from how this worked and maybe what they might do differently next time. Brianna, thanks for your reporting. In other news tonight, a 12-year-old boy has died after a crash in Clear Creek County. Deputies say he was in a truck that was submerged in the river. It happened around 9 o'clock last night on the I-70 westbound off-ramp near Empire Junction. When deputies arrived, people were standing outside the car screaming for help. Officers from neighboring police departments and Clear Creek deputies jumped into the water to get the boy out. He had gotten stuck between the truck and a boulder. They were able to lift the truck up and get him out, take him to the hospital, where the boy later died. The FAA is now investigating after a Southwest Airlines plane had to make an emergency landing shortly after taking off from Denver this weekend. The FAA says the engine cover flew off and hit the wing flap.
Let's go ahead and declare an emergency for Southwest 3695, and we'd like an immediate return. We got a piece of the engine cowling hanging off, apparently.
So that was air traffic control declaring an emergency landing for that flight today. You're looking at video a passenger on that plane tweeted out as the plane was moving down the runway. That flight originally took off from Denver a little before 8 o'clock this morning, heading en route to Houston. It was a Boeing 737. A family of aircraft that has made a lot of headlines lately after a door ripped off a 737 MAX flight in January. Southwest says they were able to get people on this flight onto another flight and get them to Houston. Family-owned liquor store owners say the beer and wine and grocery stores thing is sinking them. So they want to keep spirits only on their shelves. Angeline McCall breaks down a new Colorado bill.
A 2024 bill going through the Colorado Capitol is a reaction to voter-approved Proposition 125 to allow wine in grocery stores.
So our bill, what it's doing is it's saying, hey, the voters decided wine is absolutely in grocery and convenience stores. We're not arguing that. What we are trying to say is, hey, there needs to be some safety rails on how it's sold, where it's sold, some of the anti-competitive things that's going on with people like Amazon and Walmart.
Matt Dinsmore owns 2 different liquor stores in northern Colorado.
Since wine's gone into effect, it's been devastating for family-owned businesses.
He's advocating for House Bill 1373, which would stop big box grocery stores from selling spirits. Small liquor stores have already struggled to share now that wine and beer can be sold more widely. They hope this bill could keep hard liquor only on their shelves.
What it does is it throws a lifeline to these family-owned liquor stores.
Dinsmore and Colorado Independent Liquor Stores United say the change would help and keep businesses open when over 100 independent liquor stores have closed in the past year.
We just want to compete on a level playing field where we have the same opportunity to compete that Walmart or Amazon does.
Matt says the bigger the grocer, the more incentives they may get from suppliers, so they have lower costs to stock the same items. So they can sell it for a cheaper cost while also making it up on other items like, say, meat or eggs. on items that are not alcohol. In the studio, Angeline McCall, 9 News.
And just to be clear, Angeline, this is a bill. This is not, we've seen voters take on this before. We've seen legislation tried before. So this is a bill. It's still under discussion at this point.
Yeah, and it's still very early on yet. I mean, we still have to see it go through both chambers, and so we'll see where this one goes.
Okay. Ongoing talks about alcohol rules in the state. Angeline, thank you.